Good morning. Welcome to Ben Vlogging. I'm Ben G. Today's February 3rd, 2018. Here's G. I haven't drank since the 28th. So let's do 9, 30, 1. It'll be the 6th day. That's kind of my on my record. My record's about 7. Record's about 2 weeks. And I haven't even washed my face yet. Watch me pick these eye boogers out. Today will be the 34th day of been sketching, daily sketch, and I'm not exhausted from it. I know that I can get it done, especially since if I could just keep it under an hour, which I don't seem to do. The problem is that I'm sketching in a book, right? I'm not working on anything new. I'm not working on separate sheets of paper. I'm working in a book. So I don't really have anything to show except for this journal. It's not even a sketchbook, it's a journal, because that's the cheapest thing I found at the time. I also wanted to be honest somewhere. I can't do it on Facebook to an extent. I don't think the Instagram or Twitter is made for rants and stuff, so. And most of my family don't come to my YouTube channel, so I think this is okay. That being said, this year, 2018, I'm gonna try to focus on just being sober more often in general, so that means no weed as well. Currently, I pretty much partake on a daily basis. If I have if I have the money, I don't try to go crazy over a budget. And especially, towards the end of the month, I'm more or less broke anyway, so that money goes to food or something. Anyway, last year I worked on the drinking, and one of the big deal sealers to really push me to cut some bad habits that I wasn't able to cut throughout the year was I got rid of my vehicle, because I was pretty much, the temptation was too great to get in the vehicle and go to the drive-through liquor store and drive-through fast food, because I always did both, because I at least ate when I was drinking. But so the temptation was there, and then I couldn't really get out of the car by myself too often safely. I was doing okay, but especially during the winter, I just knew. The last 2 years especially, I just knew. So I just took that equation out, and that's been since October, November. And finally, I just don't feel like shit every day. But the thing is, I've felt like my head is in a cloud, even when I wasn't smoking. That's kind of like why I just said fuck it, and well, everyone just looks at me and assumes I smoke. All my life, they just assumed I smoke marijuana. So at some point, I just said fuck it, and then it came down to where I was always feeling like cloudy, So I just figured, well, if I'm always going to feel like that, then what's the point? It's not like it makes it any worse. It doesn't make it any better. Sometimes, depending on what type I use. To be honest, the one thing I've taken that's made me feel kind of clear-headed and kind of helped with the depression and stuff was, man, I don't even know what it was called, but it wasn't meant for anxiety and depression. It was given for my hives to help with the itching. But I noticed a difference right away. And so much so that I had to look up if it had other side effects. And sure enough, sometimes it was given to people that didn't need a strong antidepressant or something like that. Like Zoloft, which I was on for about a year, which I've stopped taking all of my pills for almost a year now. Here's why I stick to YouTube, because I can go off on different rants. One of the reasons I stopped taking all my pills and stuff was because I just gave up on going to the doctor because I felt like I didn't deserve it. I didn't deserve to go to the doctor to improve my health if I was lying about my drinking, because it got to the point where I had asked both my neurologist and my doctor, hey, I get this shaking sometimes, especially when I'm upset or I talk too often or I'm excited. What's that about? The first thing they asked me was, well, do you drink, or how often do you drink? And I lied. I said, well, I don't drink as often anymore because it's kind of be in my file that like 6-7 years ago I went to the hospital for pancreatitis. And then I quit smoking, drinking for months. That was my longest. That was probably 4 months, maybe, not a drink. And then I switched from cases of beer to a pint of vodka to last me for 2 days. But then I quickly, within a year or two, just got in the habit of vodka because it was easier to carry. And a pint could fuck me up for a day or two. Problem was that I got to see that a pint was too much, because clearly whatever alcohol I had in my house, I will finish for the most part. Here's the rules I set for myself to cut me back last year. I stuck to a pint or a half pint of vodka. I always ate, always had food, always had water at my bed, jug of water, which I've been doing that forever. I would try not to drink before noon or 2 o'clock. So then that way, I knew I was going to eat because I would be hungry by that time. So I already ate. And most likely, by 9 o'clock, I was winding down and ready to sleep. That's just me now. By 9 o'clock, my body, by 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, my body is just sore and I need to lay down. I'm not necessarily sleepy, but I'm tired. So if I drank later in the day, chances were I would be ready for bed and I wouldn't stay up. Unless I had a pint, because in a pint, usually there was more than enough to at least make 2 or 3 shots for the next day, right? But if I was drinking and I was up and I was playing games or drawing or something, if I was feeling it, I was just going to finish it. I was on autopilot. I wasn't necessarily blacking out drunk. I knew what I was doing. But, probably by the next day, I probably was like, damn, is there any left? Nope, finished it off. So that last year has been me, I just knew what I needed to do, and I needed to test myself to see where my level of addiction was and what I could fight without just straight up cutting out certain aspects to just keep that a non-issue. Where are we at with time? So I had a friend come stay with me for a couple weeks, and he has some drinking too. So I had told him before, and that what my rules were, just for myself. Um, we did good, and I think uh, I know um, I helped him a little bit, gave him some perspective, but it helps me too help put my drinking in perspective and my addiction and where I was compared to last year. So kind of jump back and kind of wrap this all up. After I had gotten my other um, uh, muscle biopsy, can you see that? That's been 2 years now, I think. They solidified and told me what I kind of already knew, what we kind of already knew, but really gave me an answer, which was a better diagnosis of my muscular dystrophy. It is centronuclear myopathy. And basically, the way your muscle cells work are, unlike cells, they are tubular, which cells, when you look at a microscope, you're looking at a top-down view, and they look round, or like a blob. Muscle cells are tubular, kind of like the muscle fibers themselves. That's how they work. Nucleus of the nucleus of your muscle cell is on the outside instead of the inside. That allows it to um, work with proteins that literally are like an on-off switch. They help your muscles contract and release. I don't know what the other term for that is. And they do all these other things too. Well, my nuclei are on the inside of my muscle cells. So they don't do what they're supposed to do. So I think that I voluntarily more so have to be the one to really focus and tell my muscles to tense up, to work together, all these things. And over the years I don't do it because I've gotten lazy and all this shit. But one of the things is that a lot of muscular dystrophies are degenerative, and for some reason we never had a clear answer on what mine was. We only knew that it was case to case, and it seemed like as long as I kept myself active I'd be okay, but we didn't really know. Well, now we know, and knowing is half the battle, and the other half is now regret, depression, anger. Not really. I guess it's not anger, it's depression and guilt. Because I already went through the anger and fear and all that shit a long time ago, and acceptance. I accepted because I knew that a lot of this, because of my own body, it was just me. That's why I know I gotta go back to a warmer climate, a city that I can walk around in, because I can't do it here. So that realization that basically all this is my fault. I knew it. How I knew it. I knew all my choices. I knew my choices. And I knew being here was going to put me in a huge state of depression. I would drink again. I would just do all these things. So again, moving to Phoenix is another way of changing everything. Life is, a never-ending, tug of war. You can't. As soon as you let go, that's it. If you're lucky, someone will throw you the rope again, but then you're all the way at the end of the rope, or at the bitter end of the anchor, of the toe, whatever it is. And we're all connected. We're all in this ocean of life, connected by tethers. Sometimes we get pulled out into rough seas with those around us. Sometimes we're sinking. We bring others with us. Other times, they keep us afloat. They keep us in calm waters. Or they get us through that rough patch. And family and friends here did that for me. If they weren't, I would never came here to begin with if they weren't here. And this place made me a stronger person. It allowed me to push forward with my art so I can call myself an artist, even though I'm struggling and I'm nowhere near the level I want to be, but I create and I work at it. And so 2 years ago when they gave me my diagnosis, I gave up because I said, fuck it. I drank a lot. I didn't give a shit. I stopped going to the doctor. I had high blood pressure. I felt everything. And I knew that if I didn't quit drinking, or at least get it under control, there was no point of seeking medical help or trying to get my shit in control. Because if I couldn't do it here under the worst conditions, as soon as I left to be on my own again, more or less, I might, I need to get in a better mind frame. And putting myself at the source of my depression helped me deal with a lot of that, helped me accept a lot of it, helped me argue with my family less, and a lot of that has helped. But at the end of the day, at the end of the 7 years, I just know that certain things are just in me. It's got nothing to do with my family. It's got nothing to do with whatever. It's all about how I react, how my body reacts to the weather, how I just know from experience that it's time for me to go. But it's also, in order for me to do that, I needed to be healthy enough. And this last year was that. Now this year, leading up to hopefully the next couple of months, I'm just going to continue with that. Just try to be a better person than I was yesterday. And that's hard to do because sometimes it's like a mixing board, you're got to bring down the level of anger, but bring up the level of intensity. You got to, adjust and tweak the troubles and bring out the bass. I don't know. Thanks for listening. This has been Benji, BenVlogging. Please check me out, Facebook, Instagram. I'm art underscore Benji at Instagram. I am Benji77, I think, on Twitter. Here on YouTube, Benji, Ben Perez. Facebook, Benji, Ben Perez. Just Google Benji, Benggie. And thank you very much. Be nice to people with disabilities when you see them in public, because if there was ever a time that we feel like we don't belong in the public, you don't want us there, it's now. So, peace out.